Hi, I'm Kenny Anderson, and welcome to Impact. I'm Director of Multicultural Affairs for the City of Huntsville, and in my role as Director of Multicultural Affairs, I have an opportunity to meet lots of people in this community, and through this broadcast, we like to shine a light on many great things that are happening in the city at this time. Many, many years ago, people will ask me often, how did you get to Huntsville? And many, many years ago, I came to a small school in Huntsville called Oakwood College at the time. And I have to say that that was one of the best decisions I ever made. I have a group of people here today who represent the university today called Oakwood University. And we're going to be talking a little bit about all the great work that they do. You know, the motto of Oakwood is enter to learn and depart to serve. And of course, many people recognize that the students who come through the university are students who are very passionate about making a difference in their community. I want to first of all introduce Chaplain Ronald Pollard. He is at Oakwood University, of course, has spent some of his best years at Oakwood College back in the day, and is now back in this community working. Ron, thank you for being with us today.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
And sitting next to you is one of Oakwood's best and brightest, and that's any student that goes to Oakwood, by the way. She's Jazzmin Pride. We want to welcome her to the broadcast this afternoon.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's good to see you here today. And I understand that Jazzmin's done television before, so she's our veteran. Yeah, one show. Well, one show makes you a veteran around here. George Johnson is Director of Strategic Marketing and Public Relations, and I may have said that a little bit different.
I just got an upgrade.
Yeah. Well, George, we're happy to have you here today.
Thank you.
And you are responsible for so many things related to creating the right image for what Oakwood represents, and so many other things as well. And I'm just glad to have all of you guys here today.
Thank you.
Anytime I have a chance to be with Oakwood, I just feel a sense of inspiration, a sense of vibrancy, and a sense of the dynamic things that are coming out of this institution. Ron, you and I are probably the old school on this particular group.
Not old, man.
Well, old school.
Vintage.
Oh. That makes it kind of seasoned and sounds a little sweeter, I guess. Okay, all right. So we're the vintage members of the Oakwood University, the Oakwood legacy. You have come back after so many years, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of things that have changed at Oakwood. You're working very closely with students these days, and back then the motto was enter to learn, depart to serve. But I'm sure that you're still finding that same passion in students today. Talk a little bit about what you're working with and what you're seeing as far as our students today at Oakwood University.
We're working with a generation of students today who are very interested in service and very interested in doing things that are real and things that they interpret as true support and help. In our time, in the vintage days, we did have that tradition. And what I have seen since coming back, 20-some years later, is that it's still there, and it's growing. And so we're working and doing everything we can to see to it that the hands-on experience of service, of giving to the community and humanitarian work is real, and that it really helps to transform and impact the lives like it did us, like it did for us when we were there, 18, 19, 20-year-olds.
Yeah, and you know, the whole notion of going to college or going to the university, oftentimes people focus on, I got to get a good GPA, you know, got to take those tests, got to pass those board licensing kinds of things, and we get kind of caught up in those kinds of technicalities of the college university experience. But part of the reality that I found both going forward into my career and then looking back in hindsight has been all of the great community experiences that I've had. For example, when I was a junior at Oakwood College back then, my good friend Charlton Alexander and I decided we were going to be psychology majors, and it was important for us to determine what that really meant outside of the classroom. Now, we were going to class studying about Freud and Watson and all of these other folks in psychology, Jung. And the reality was, okay, this is all theory. But what's it like to walk into a mental health facility every day for the next 10, 15, 20 years? So we went down to the Huntsville Madison County Mental Health Center and asked if we could volunteer.
Yes.
And we didn't know where that would take us, but a year later we had volunteered for a year. The following year we were student interns there as part of the internship class.
Yes.
And so what I tell people today is that after I left Oakwood, what I had was not just a degree, but I had 2 years of experience
Yes.
in the
Yes.
workforce.
Yes.
Is this the same value today that students are looking for in terms of getting those internship opportunities and those volunteer opportunities in the community?
Yes, I think so. I believe so. Kenny, when I left Oakwood, like you, some of the greatest memories and experiences I had were those hands-on experiences. So the combination of theory and practice, and the combination of volunteerism with that practice and theory was really something that stayed with myself and many of us who graduated and have since sent our children to Oakwood, because that is something that we valued, and it's something that stayed with us, and it's something we taught at home, taught wherever we were, because there was nothing like being able to apply what you learned in the classroom on those days when you just volunteered to help someone. And it makes such a huge difference going forward, and I believe that that is a value that will continue to grow and deepen as Oakwood continues.
And you, of course, are carrying this forward both on the local level, the
Yes.
regional level, the national and international level, and we'll
Yes.
talk about that more in just a few moments. But I wanted to get Jazzmin on this conversation because, Jazzmin, I understand that you've been involved in some kinds of these projects and initiatives that are focused on helping students get that real-world experience even while they're students. And you're a sophomore student from West Virginia. Came to make one of the best decisions of your life by coming to Oakwood University. And so now that you're here and you've got this great opportunity to get the best grades you can, but now also a chance to work in the community, talk a little bit about why that's important for you.
I think it's important for me is because you get that real life experience. You know, you want to get the book education, you want to go through and, you know, really understand the reasons, the education behind what you're doing. But then also just getting out there is making a big impact on your life, and it helps you to grow as a person as well, you know, just to see the actual benefits of what you do.
And I'm curious, as students, oftentimes those of us who are perhaps outsiders are not directly connected to students. We kind of see you doing your thing. And we oftentimes draw certain conclusions that students may not be as focused and committed on those kinds of external things. But I would imagine that you probably talk to a lot of people in your circle of friends and contacts who are interested in the same kinds of things that you are. Is that right?
Yeah, that is true. It's true. Sometimes, you know, when you see students, you see them in different places in their life right now. Like you see them, you know, maybe outside the basketball court. You might think, oh, they always play basketball all the time. But, you know, it's something different. They do have time for different things. They go on a lot of outreach events. They go do internships. They have study time. You know, it's different for every student, but I think they make an impact on every part of their life.
Right, and Oakwood, of course, is a very strong ethic as it relates to other service.
Right.
Going out into the community, being an asset for other people in their lives and experiences. George, one of the most wonderful things that I'm sure you get to do now that you've become a part of the Oakwood University staff is to tell the Oakwood story. And just before we went on air, we were talking about some of the ways that you're actually changing the dynamics of sharing that story and why that's important. Talk a little bit about what you're doing in your area to get that word out so that people know Oakwood has been here for 118 years now.
Yes.
We wish it another 118 years, of course. And the reality is that it has had a tremendous impact on this community, this nation, and the world.
Yes.
It's not a kept secret. But every bit of opportunity that we have to continue to talk about this, I'm sure you look forward to doing those kinds of things. What's happening in your area about getting the good word out?
Well, we have enhanced what was already going on. I just started here in January, so I'm a newbie to Huntsville, and as you said, to the Oakwood staff. But one of the things we wanted to make sure is that everyone knows about the university. As you said, we have a long-standing history, but there are some people who did not know all of the intricate details, and so we have our monthly e-newsletter that goes out. And we want to make sure that it goes out in the middle of the week. 9 times out of 10, when people get to the end of their work week, they don't want to hear nothing else about anything. This is their weekend. And so we decided to put our news in the middle of the week so that we are part of the game of news that comes around that is being spoken about other HBCUs or other universities and things, and so that our constituents or those who, alumni and friends, so they can hear about the good things that we're doing. So we decided to move that from an end of week news cycle to a middle of the week news cycle, and we found that our numbers are spiking because we put it in the middle of the week. We found that our stories are being picked up other places, so they're making my job more easier. I don't just have to be the one person who's talking about Oakwood, but we write the stories in a way that people will pick them up. We've also entered the world of social media. Now, where other people have entered it a long time ago, we really just got into that game in January. And we're finding that a lot of people, it's not just about us speaking, because social media is a two-way street. And so we're not just telling you, we're engaging you in conversation. And so we're doing that multiple times during the day, where we're talking about what Oakwood is doing, or asking them questions, or doing Throwback Thursday. You may sign on Thursday and see an old picture of you, Kenya, because I think we saw some old ones of you at a UNCF banquet, so we're going to get you on a Throwback Thursday. We've also decided to do our magazine, our Oakwood magazine, and move that to a quarterly publication, because we were finding that so much was happening in between I wouldn't even say in between, because we had one time that we were publishing, which was during our alumni weekend, during the Easter weekend. So much stuff happens between Easter to Easter. And if we're not talking to our constituents, then they will forget about us. And that's the last thing that we want them to do, is forget about us.
Yeah. Oakwood is just such a great product. It also produces some of the best products. I mean, when we think about, there's probably a hall of fame of people that have graduated from Oakwood over the years.
Yes.
And at the risk of slighting someone, I won't
Don't name any. No.
But you can certainly research it, whether you go on the Oakwood site or you just interact with other people. Really a hall of fame of people in all areas of life who have been to Oakwood and have served their communities well, having left Oakwood. And Jazzmin, you now stand as one of the potential people who will one day leave Oakwood with the charge of having entered to learn and depart now to serve. Tell us about what your major is and what you want to do with your major.
I'm an elementary education major, and I want to teach in a school for younger kids, and I just want, my vision for children is to learn, to enjoy learning. Because I remember when I was homeschooled for a little bit when I was a child, and my mom, she instilled in me a desire to learn. I loved it. I loved reading. I was always reading. And I just want to be able to influence children in that way positively, to have them learn as well.
Yeah. Ron, you can kind of look back in hindsight like me. We're both in the rearview mirror right now, looking at the vintage days at Oakwood College back then. But you know what? It's amazing how we both can look back now. And George, you had a similar experience at another school, I'm sure, now as you look back in the rearview mirror of your life as well. If you were like me, you had so many ideas about what the world could be like and what your place might be in the world, and even in the process of just maybe deciding on what a major would be and what a career might be. We graduated and we went beyond that point. And now we have an opportunity to think about things that are far greater than making money, having a title, having certain possessions and resources, but the reality of being able to make a difference in the lives of young people. The work that you do as a chaplain is extremely vital to that process. I'm sure you see people every day who have lots of different challenges.
Yes.
And in a sense, there's a different kind of student who attends college today. Not in terms of their age per se, but in terms of the challenges and experiences that they perhaps bring to the table when they come to school. How do you deal with that on a daily basis?
Well, I am blessed, Kenny, to have an 18-year-old in my home.
That kind of helps from perspective.
Yes, sir. And he helps me stay in touch with this generation, as well as the work that I do. Having served as a youth person, a youth specialist for many years, one of the things I've learned is that this is a generation that wants to have experience, not just theory, but they actually want to experience what is talked about. one of the key differences I found, and I find with our time, we were comfortable with hearing somebody else's story. Well, this generation's a little bit more assertive about that. They want to experience some things. And one of the things that we've found that has stayed the same is that those experiences that are positive stays with them forever. And we have discovered that this is a generation that is not just, this is a generation that requires a high relationship to receive information. So while we received information and took it and ran, this is a generation that really values relationship and information coming through that relationship. And so as a result, when they have the opportunity to travel and experience community service with someone who has a relationship, it's like getting two for the price of one. You know, that's what it's like. And that's some of the stuff some of the items that we've discovered.
Right. And George, you of course have a lot of traffic coming through your office for any number of reasons.
Yes.
You also have student workers in your office, and you're in many ways positioned uniquely to help instill in them a sense of not just pride in the institution and the work that they do, but also to shape their ideas about the world that they're living in, at least have an impact on their ability to shape the world in which they're living in. How's that going for you so far?
You know, and it is interesting because one would think because it's a staff role that doesn't seem to touch students. You know, I'm not in the classroom. I'm not a faculty, I'm not a staff sponsor of a student group, but we do have opportunities and they do come through, and from what I see, they want someone who is going to be themselves. Don't try to be them, because they don't need that. You know, be the person that you are and show that example to what they could aspire to become. Listen to what their problems are. You know, I had one that came in and wanted to just talk about life. This is where I think I may be going with my career. And I didn't have to give any advice, I just listened. And I found that that person returned and wanted to talk some more, and returned again and wanted to talk some more. Will text me, you know, I will accept that, because that was what I wanted and found in some of my adult professors or faculty and staff members that I remembered from my school that I went to. And so it's a great opportunity to be in that seat now, to give back to what someone gave to me when I was coming up.
Yeah, boy, that's really rich stuff, what both of you shared, because it is important for us who recognize that young people are going through a transitional journey, that we have the unique opportunity to impact their lives in meaningful ways, not as the decision makers for their lives, but as the influencers of the decisions that they will then make.
Right.
And we all have had that same experience, and perhaps hopefully continue to have that experience, because even at this stage of the game for me, I still have mentors in my life. I have people who are well ahead of me in the process who are saying, you know, think about this, what about this, and beginning to continue to guide and direct my steps in life as well.
You know, Kenny, one other aspect, and I agree with George very much so, but because this is a generation that has access to information much faster than our generation, the premium is on relationship and it being real. They have access to relationship at 4 and 5 years, at information at 4 and 5 years old that we never had. You see 5-year-olds mastering iPads.
That's right.
And tablet devices, mastering. We were driving the other day from Atlanta and we saw 4 and 5-year-olds in the back seat switching through movies on a tablet device. And because of that, the premium is on knowing that the information you have is translated into being real for them as well as it is for you. Because they have access to information that we never had, and they have access 24/7, all over the world. They can Twitter and Google and Yahoo search everything, and it's there. But it's having that real deep and a meaningful relationship.
Jazzmin, one of the most unique experiences I had when I was at Oakwood College back in the day is that the relationship with my instructors was extraordinarily beyond what one might expect at a Michigan State, University of Alabama, Vanderbilt. Not that those are some world-class schools, but they're very big schools as well. I mean, you can go into a freshman class of English psychology and have 400 or 500 students in that class and get assigned a number and have a teacher's assistant teach your class the whole semester virtually. There's a very personal relationship as it relates to Oakwood University instructors that I think even persists to this day. And the fact that I always tell people that I literally can go anywhere in this world, I believe this, literally in this world, and find somebody who's gone to Oakwood, knows somebody who's gone to Oakwood, has high respect for Oakwood, and I'll have a place to stay, a place to eat, transportation. People have given me keys to their home. I mean, these are real things that have happened in my life because of my experience at Oakwood. Is it still like that today?
It is. I mean, I know what you're talking about. My mother, she's gone anywhere and she's met, people from Oakwood, and we've just had this bond, and, we'll be friends, we can talk, and we'll have Sabbath dinners, and, it's very, very personable and close relationship and bond that they still have. And also with the teacher relationship that you're saying is, I've noticed from some of my classes where, because of the smaller ratio of student to teacher, there's a more personal relationship between the students and teacher. And I know that teachers have come to me and, helped me, go through, this is Jazzmin, this is where you're going, I need you, refocused, or I see this is a positive thing that you're doing. They've been able to look directly at me as Jazzmin, not as numbers, and been able to really help me and focus me back on track. And so I really appreciate that.
Yeah, these instructors really care.
Yeah. I went to one of the schools that I went to 2 universities during my trek. And one was a smaller one, Seventh-day Adventist, Washington Adventist University. But then I also went to University of Maryland, Baltimore County, which was huge. And so coming from this traditional 500 student, small little circle, and then going to UMBC, oh my gosh, I felt lost. And so there is something about that smaller knit that you do feel that you're not a number. I was able to, going back to Washington Adventist, to walk into my advisor's office at any time, and he would stop whatever he was doing. It wasn't make an appointment and come and, no, I'm too busy because I'm doing this, this, and this. And they cared about you. And so at Oakwood, we have the same thing. And you don't feel lost.
Right.
You will never feel lost. You will feel cared about. It's not a show. It's not something that's fake. But the faculty and staff truly care. And that smaller size probably lends to that caring, that you're able to know that this is Jazzmin, or this is this other student, whereas, what's your name again? I mean, I'm paying tuition. I think you need to know my name. So, and that's going to make you finish in the 4 years, 5 years, or whatever years that it is, and know that you're going to be someone that is successful in society after they finish.
That's a great way to end this segment of the broadcast today. I mean, on such a high note to know that caring, compassionate atmosphere exists in an academic institution. I want to thank my guest today, Ron Pollard. He's chaplain at Oakwood University. Thank you for being here.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Jazzmin Pride. She is from Falling Waters, West Virginia. She is an elementary education sophomore and the director of integrated services and public marketing. George Johnson.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today. And if people want more information about Oakwood, give us the website.
It is oakwood.edu.
All right, that's www.oakwood.edu.
Yes.
We thank you for being a part of our broadcast today, and we hope that you'll join us for our next edition of Impact. I'm Kenny Anderson, as always. Thank you for being with us today.